Alelele mama, amalala lelele. Oh, shake it for Africa, yeah, do it for Africa. Mama lelele, oh lelele mama, oh shake it for Africa. Oh, you rise up and stand up for Africa.
See the whole world be looking at us, yeah, 'cause our land is honey, all the future money, and see now, see Akijima, no, Asilali, see Atandi Mali, they want it, yo, they need it, man, we have it, yes, let the world come and taste this beautiful land, they want it, oh, they need it, yeah, we have it, let the world come and taste this beautiful land now.
I'm so happy to be a part of this continent. All your sisters and your brothers and your friends. Let's get together, let's hold hands and let us dance. Let's unite and give ourselves another chance. I see the walk out for road, you go see many things, everything, the happy people, the jolly. Oh yeah, now South Africa, be good. And in the sun or the rain or the sweet and the pain, we still they get together. Because South Africa, be good. Oh, Nelson Mandela, Lupita Nyong'o, oh Desmond Tutu, South Africa, be good. Oh Barack Obama, Kwame Nkrumah, all my freedom fighters.
You know what time it is. Let's go. Come on. Africa stand up. Everybody move. Make it see your hands up. We came a long way, so now we can't stop. Free for life. We're taking off the handcuff. We came to spread love through the sea breeze. Natural, Mama Africa. We need peace. Home sweet home. Everybody for feel free. Check my people and check the beauty. Me my duty. We're trying to make it a better place for us, and I believe it's gonna happen in God we trust. Straight from the bottom all the way up to top. I prophesy it shall come to pass. Amen. From dust to grass, from grass to grace. But it's left to us to make it happen on a daily basis. Back to back. Africa stand for peace. Let's face the fact.
Tanzania.
Welcome to Diaspora Network Television, and a happy AU Day to you all. I'm sure you were enjoying that music. I was just getting my dancing shoes on, but then thank you so much for tuning in. And this is the AU Day special with me. My name is Chowdi Deku. Now, before we begin, let me give you a little overview about what AU Day is. Mostly, we celebrate holidays without really knowing what it's about. Now, AU Day, formerly known as African Freedom Day and African Liberation Day, underline liberation and freedom, which is the annual commemoration of the foundation of the Organization of African Unity. Now, it was started on the 25th of May 1963 and is celebrated by almost all the African countries. And I'm saying almost because some African countries actually don't celebrate or commemorate the AU Day. Now, it's an international, cultural, or historical kind of day, and its significance is that it's the anniversary of the foundation of the African Unity, where African countries came together. Just like we have the EU and others, this is ours. Now, the first Congress of Independent African States was held in Accra, Ghana. That is why AU Day is actually very important to us. That was on the 15th of April, 1958. Just a year and a few months after our independence. It was convened by the Prime Minister then of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and it comprised representatives from Egypt, then a constituent part of the United Arab Republic, Ethiopia, Liberia, Libya, Morocco, Sudan, Tunisia, the Union of the People of Cameroon, and the host country, Ghana. Now, we have a whole lot of activities within this short period. We have messages from some prominent people in the country, and of course, the most important man to us the CEO of Diaspora Network Television. So let's go take a message from him to the people. We'll be right back.
The African Union, conceptually, is a beautiful thing. I think the leaders in Addis Ababa should do more to drive home a point to all Africans living everywhere that the time has come for you to look back towards Africa for its development. Around the turn of the century, I was fortunate enough to become the president of the African Community Organization, which was a coalition of about 22 African countries in the Houston metropolitan area. We sat together behind our flags. We were like the mini OAU at the time in Houston. It was a beautiful thing. I had the opportunity to interact with African leaders in Houston from Tanzania, Zambia, South Africa, Senegal, Nigeria, all over the continent. And one thing that struck me the most is that our commonality was striking. The things that the Ghanaians shared in common with the Kenyans or all other Africans from all corners of the continent was really striking to me. And that told me something, and that we have more in common than what separates us. So as I sit here today, I can tell you the borders that separate us mean nothing to me. And that is the reason why I founded Diaspora Network Television. We want to bring all Africans back in. Look, there's a lot of nationalism flying around the world, in the United States, Europe, and all other countries. And when they mention nationalism, what they're really saying is that we want our countries back. All foreigners should go back. Now, realistically speaking, it's impossible for all Africans to leave where they're domiciled right now to return home. We get that. But wherever you're domiciled, you still should be able to make a difference in building this country, this continent. And so Diaspora Network Television has something very special in common with the concept of African Union. If you're an African, whether you live in the United States, New Zealand, Australia, Asia, wherever you are, do not shut the continent from your consciousness. Always do whatever you're doing with the mind of one day, either coming back home to help build a continent or bring in the resources that you've gathered, whether they're human, whether they're financial, or whether they're skilled. Find a way to bring them back home to help build the continent. And I also want to use the opportunity to implore, to really urge the leaders on the continent to desist from this notion of viewing our brothers and sisters who left the continent to go live elsewhere, to view them as foreigners. Many times when we come back home, we're treated like foreigners. In fact, in Ghana, there are times that my fellow Ghanaians would treat me in a less welcoming manner than they would treat the Chinese guy who came in here. That should be out of the window. I'm not saying be bad to foreigners, but extend the same type of red carpet that you extend to others who bring in the same foreign exchange to invest here, so that we feel welcoming. It's more likely that we want to come back home and do more. And so on AU Day, my message from Diaspora Network Television is this. You, the African who live elsewhere, look towards the homeland. And you, the African who live on the continent, view your brother and sister as part of you. He never left. If he left, he went to go get something to return. And together, we would be able to build a continent that one day, just maybe, others would want to come to our continent to seek better opportunities. So I want to take this opportunity to wish you, the viewer, happy AU Day. Come back home, and if you're home, receive them well. Let's build a better continent that we all can be proud of.
The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa, 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 yeah. Mama Africa, we cry for peace. Africa. The land is good, the land is fine. Gold we have, diamonds we mine. Yet we fight, we cover it all in blood. Tell me why we wallow in the mud. Africa.
Welcome back. Now that was Nigla here, but then in Africa we have a lot of beautiful culture, including our clothing, our food, our music. You're just listening to some of them. The famous jollof, which is from Ghana. I think Nigerians also have it. The Senegalese, I hear, also have it. And then the clothing, I mean, look at what I have on. It's beautiful, isn't it? The African culture is actually really beautiful. Now, we're still celebrating AU Day with you here on Diaspora Network Television. Now, we're still on AU Day. I'm trying to educate you about a bit about AU Day. Now, AU Day continues celebrated both in Africa and around the world, mostly today, the 25th of May. Well, in some cases, these celebrations last over a long period of time and can be stretched. Themes are set each year for the African Day. Now, I think it used to be a holiday here in Ghana, but then now we just commemorate it, even though AU Day is a big deal to us because it was an ideology from the founder, which is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So AU Day is actually very special to Ghanaians mostly and everyone in Africa. Now, we are still bringing you more messages and more music from the African continent. We have some messages from Mr. David Donto, an astute actor, and Mr. Kofi Akpalu, who is also a politician of the Liberation People's Party. So let's take their messages. We'll be right back.
AU Day is perhaps the greatest commemorative day in the whole year for an African. If you say that is the Africa Union Day. Africa Union Day actually started from the OAU when Kwame Nkrumah mooted the idea at the Addis Ababa Conference 1963 and later on metamorphosed into what we now know today as Africa Union. And so we celebrate that day, Africa Union Day, AU Day. And we say it is the greatest day for an African in the whole year because it is the day that we accept the fact that we do recognize ourselves as Africans, as people of the same, shall I say, breed. Now, as Africans, we seek to work together. The AU Day is Africa Unity Day, Africa Union Day. Now, if we want to be united, there are certain things that we do as a people to be united. Our forefathers or our forebears in politics sought the political kingdom. So they were able to put us together in a political union. But now the AUD, or the AU for that matter, must not only seek the political independence of the African, but also the economic and, of course, the cultural independence of the African. Given my background in the entertainment industry, theater and film, I believe for AUD, if African Union could institute a festival that is run across the year, and then the winning theater group is showcased live on television across the length of Africa every year on AUD, it will be the most commemorative event in Africa. And it will be something that will bring Africans together and make Africans begin to realize that we are one people with one destiny. And for this, I would wish all artists, all practitioners, everybody in the cultural heritage industry in Africa a happy anniversary. Happy Africa Union Day.
And I'm here to extend my warm wishes and to the AU, all the members of the AU, and also as we celebrate our 17th AU anniversary, I would like to encourage all members that we have a better future ahead of us. We should put what has passed behind us and look into the future, and also start thinking of what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was trying to pursue, uniting us to form United States of Africa. I believe that if we are able to come together as a people, we'll be able to transform our continent, because one person cannot do anything, but united we can do a lot. So as we celebrate this 17th year anniversary of the AU, it's our prayer that we all think about economic independence. Though as a continent and as individual countries within the continent, we have our independent, political independence, but we don't have economic independence. Still, economically, we depend on others. So it's better we forge us together and then find a way to come into terms of building a solid economic foundation that will lift us up from abject poverty. It's our prayer. So this day, that is my message, that we should think about having economic freedom. I want to wish everyone on the continent a happy AU Day.
Africa.
Still dancing to it. Very nice music right there from. Now, let me finalize what I have to say about the African Union Day. Now, today, the Continental Organization celebrates 50 years of determined efforts for unity among African people and socio-economic freedom from foreign dominion and exploitation. When you watch the messages, you realize there was one thing with every message that we've listened to, which is they had this passion for the African Union Day, being that it's a day that we could actually, it was put together because we wanted to fight for our freedom, which we have now. And Africa as a continent is doing really well. Now, a year after its independence, Ghana convened the first conference of independent African states on April 15, 1958. African countries in attendance included Ethiopia, Libya, Sudan, Liberia, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, among others, with representatives of the National Liberation Forum. The conference was a collective platform of the explicit assertion of Africa's rejection of colonial and imperialist domination of the continent, becoming the first Pan-African Liberation Conference to be held on the continent. So it looks like the African Union and the Pan-Africanists have the same drive, which is fighting for African independence. Now, for a number of Africans on the continent and part of the diaspora, which we stand for, Africa Day is a day where many different cultures of people from all African backgrounds come together to celebrate the diversity of Africa, the organization of the African Union and its objectives for a decolonized African state. Although it looks to celebrate how far Africa has come, it is a day to also reflect. So today actually is a day of reflection for all Africans to know how far we have come. Now, other countries have celebrations to mark the historical day, while international cities such as New York, Dublin, Melbourne, London, and Washington engage in academic gatherings and cultural showcases to mark the day. Now, we're taking two more AU Day messages from our brother and sister from some other African countries in the continent. So let's take those messages. We'll be right back.
For me as an individual, I think that African Union, we are yet to fulfill the purpose for which it was set up. Today, a lot of countries in Africa are going through difficulties, are going through pains, are going through war. We continuously ask ourselves, what has the African Union done to unite African citizens? As we speak today, it's still more difficult for African countries to trade among themselves than it is for an average African country to trade with European countries. African Union should be about unity. African Union should be about bringing together all countries within the African continent. But how far have the leadership of this union done to continuously bring our people together? They may have done their part, yes, we commend the effort of past leaders of African Union Commission. But as an individual, I believe that a lot more needs to be done. A lot of young people travel from Nigeria to Europe, they die in the desert. A lot of young people travel from Libya to other part of countries in Europe. What has the African Union done to stop these young people from leaving their point of residence to other countries in Europe to seek for greener pastures? So, if the president of these African countries have been able to develop their economy in such a way, where the people are fully beneficial of the dividends of democracy, I believe that it will be difficult for an average young person to want to run away to another country in Europe. So basically, they have done their part, but I think they need to do more. My single message to every African, whether those in diaspora or those in Africa, is that we should continuously love ourselves. You go to South Africa today, you see South Africans fighting their own fellow Africans, killing them for things that I think are not totally necessary. So we should begin to love ourselves the more. We should begin to know that the dream of Kwame Nkrumah, the dream of Nelson Mandela, the dreams of Julius Nyerere must be lived on. that we must continuously try and bring our people together. African unity should not be by mere words, it should be by action. We should love ourselves. Then the leaders of all these African countries should begin to use the resources available in these countries to totally better the lives of their people. That's my message for every single African, whether in diaspora or those resident here in Africa. Happy AU Day to all Africans. God bless Africa.
So for me, the AU message is that us as diasporans, we need to come back home, we need to contribute to the growth and the economy of our continent. And for the government, we need your support. We all need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need more collaborations amongst us Africans, and we need to support each other for businesses to grow, because we have to take the lead. We as individual, private businesses especially, we need to do something. We need to contribute a lot, but at the same time, we need encouragement. We need support from, government. So government should work with private businesses. Government should work with individuals, diasporans who are willing to come back home and bring whatever little they can, and get the support so that we can contribute to the growth of our continent. Happy EU Day. Love from Isilia and my team members, and I hope we can all work together and contribute to the growth of our continent. Thank you.
It's an African one. Yeah.
Beats by Amazon.
Yeah, me I like it. Something so. This my African hands then gon' love you. Yeah. My African lips then gon' kiss you. Whoa. My African hips get down for you. Whoa. My African legs then gon' run to you. Whether you come here to break dance, I bet you come here to shake hands. You come here to make plans. Never would it reach as motherland. Whether you come here to rock West, I be not to find good, everything they ever would it reach as motherland. Anywhere you go, London, USA, nowhere be like Africa, nowhere be like home. Anywhere you go, New York, Chicago, nowhere be like Africa, nowhere be like home. Biko eru ya wayo.
Nowhere be like Africa. Africa is different. Africa is beautiful. Africa is special. Now, the theme for this year's AU is Healthy Lifestyle Prolongs Life. And this theme was selected to emphasize the significant relationship between unhealthy lifestyle and premature mortality. Now, this is where we have to end this little bit of African discussion with NT. Now, before I go, I'd like to urge that just as the theme says, eat well, live healthy. And I would also like to urge all diasporans, as this year is the year of return in Ghana, that they would come home and help build Africa and make Africa great again. Not only America, Africa great again. So thank you so much for joining this live production from Diaspora Network Television. My name is Jadi Deku. Enjoy the rest of the African music we're bringing to you.
Solo, solo, solo. Solo Beninga so company. Solo Beninga so company. Malma somha, malma guya. Solo. Tiyum yataba kasum tabia.
Let the rhythm of the fatherland be played.
Oh, let the wailing of the black woman be heard. Oh yeah, let us stomp on our feet, the energy of our youth,
And the knowledge of the truth set you free.
yes I shall never kake, go I dash the Yesaya, Babu Hamila Efi Sonju
the hunger and the fear. Let the knowledge of the truth set us free.